Last little bit from our sine rule lesson before you guys do some practice is when we're finding an angle using sine rule. And to do that, we need to rearrange our formula in our calculator. Otherwise, our calculator is going to come up with something a little bit funny and we don't want to use that. So when we rearrange the formula, we end up with the formula which is here. So A equals inverse sine A times sine B over lowercase b. Now, that formula isn't on your formula sheet. So you need to be aware of how to rearrange that to use in your calculator. So just please make sure that you sort of write that in your notes or something along those lines so that you've got it there. Now, as I'm saying that, I've put in the formulas up here. So these are the formulas which you do get, and the formula we're looking at the moment is this one here, okay? So if you're going back, you can have a look there. So this is an example of a question where you're trying to find an angle. So I've labelled A as what the angle we're trying to find, but uppercase A, uppercase B, lowercase b, etc. So if we then have our formula, A over sine A equals B over sine B, sub in our numbers, so same thing as before, 8.2 over sine x equals 9.5 over sine 72. Now, if you put that into your calculator under solve, it's not going to come up with the correct answer. So we need to be able to rearrange it. So we could just put straight away, we could just go, if you know that formula, you could go x, not a, x equals inverse sine A, which was 8.2, times sine B, which was 72, over 9.5 into your calculator and solve there. However, I'm going to show you why this formula works. So again, we're going to cross multiply. So 8.2 sine 72 equals 9.5 sine x. Okay, we then want to get rid of each of the different parts. So we need to get rid of the 9.5. So we end up with 8.2 sine 72 over 9.5 equals sine x. Now, we don't want to find sine x, we want to find inverse sine it. So we want to find just x, so we're going to use inverse sine 8.2 sine 72 over 9.5. And you can see now that our formula up here is the same as here when we've rearranged it. So we then put that into our calculator. It's up to you whether you want to use solve or whether you want to just write it in. It's probably easier just to write it in for this. So we're going to go, I'm going to use the fraction button again because I find it a lot easier. Okay, so 8.2 times by sine 72, so trig sine 72 over 9.5. Now, what we need to be able to do is put in that, I forgot about the inverse sign at the front. So if I put brackets around this and put inverse sign, so trig, inverse sign, no, the bracket's already there, so we're all good. So inverse sign, I can press enter and I get my answer. If I'd wanted to use solve, I could have used this same thing. Let's see if I can do this or not. Might not be able to. Yep, equals x. And then we could go solve. And we're finding x, so comma x. It's the same answer. So either way, but really you're just adding on a heap of extra work with the solve bit. So easier just to use this here. So I might just cut that for a second. So that is what we want to be able to put into our calculator. I'll put that into our notes as well. So then you should be able to go x equals 55.2 degrees to the nearest one decimal place. sorry, not 22, 55.2 degrees to 1 decimal place. Okay, so you should now be able to practice a whole heap of questions from your book. I'll put those questions up on Sector. And I want you to do a whole heap of practice, and then we'll come and do some more application questions later on. Good luck.